Attention, please. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Crypto Night Show. Your host Superman in the house. We're going to be talking about Bitcoin. We're going to be exploring Ethereum, and we're also going to deep dive into Pulsechain and any big news that's out there as well. So I hope you enjoyed the show. We're going to get straight into it. Don't forget to get in the comment section, say hello, and let's have a bit of fun here. If you're new to the channels, you know what to do. So smash the subscribe, hit the follow, and repost the show on X. And let's get into it. Stock market results for Friday. So let's break that down. Record levels. We got to love this, man. Record levels. That's great. So let's check it out. All right. So we got the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ closed at records on solid April jobs report, and of course a rise in chip stocks as well. So the boom keeps going for AI. Let's get into it. Dow Jones is just up slightly, 12 points to 49,609. We're not too far away from the previous high in February. So if we look at that over the last 6 months in the chart there, you can see previous high was up at 50,122. So we've still got about 500 points to get back up to there. The S&P 500 is up 0.84%, 61 points to almost 7,400. So we're on record highs on the S&P 500. The NASDAQ up 1.7%, 440 points. We're at 26,247. We just keep pushing higher. So pretty exciting stuff happening there. VIX index, that's the volatility index, is at 17. So we've got risk on, and the US dollar there just weakening a little bit further below 98. Let's get to commodities at the moment. Commodities, we got West Texas going below $100. That's a good thing. So if we look at the last month in the chart here, it's down from those highs over almost $110. It's down at 95. Still probably about a $40 to $45 premium in there for the Strait of Hormuz and the oil issue. But that is down over under 100, but up slightly today, 61 cents. Brent oil is still over 100, $101, is up 1.2% today. Gold at the moment up just under 0.5%, $20 to 4,730, and silver there up 0.85%, 68 cents to $80.86. So that's where gold and silver are right now. But obviously we had the news around the jobs report coming out Friday, and of course the non-farm payrolls edged up 115,000 last month, and that was better than the 65,000 the economists are expecting. So the unemployment rate, but the unemployment rate held steady at 4.3% in the United States there. The report was closely anticipated. It comes at a time when the market participants and watchers of monetary policy are more focused on inflation due to surging oil prices sparked by the ongoing Middle East conflict. And analysts noted that the April data suggested a hit to wage growth due to inflation. This morning's labor market data is just another sign of continued resilience in the U.S. economy, especially following such a buoyant March report. That being said, while it is a short-term positive indicator, lagging inflationary pressures still risk sending the economy into a tailspin. While the chances of recession are very low actually now, and so not expecting too much problems there. April's decent payrolls growth extends the trend of strongest jobs growth since the turn of the year. The job market is inching out of low fire mode into moderate higher, and of course low fire mode there. This is reassuring news after business consumer surveys reported a pickup in anxiety about the Iran war, of course. So that's picking up there. Consumers continue to feel buffeted by cost pressures, led by soaring prices at the pump. Middle East developments unlikely to meaningfully boost sentiment until supply disruptions have been fully resolved and any prices fall. But of course, we are expecting benefits there in terms of tax refunds, everything like that. So we'll keep a lookout for all that sort of stuff coming up there. And we've had pretty good profits, right? Markets are responding to what they can measure profits. The AI-driven earnings story remains powerful, and that strength is offsetting geopolitical uncertainty for now. Indeed, we are seeing a profits boom right now, and that's from Keith Lerner there. Investors appear to be betting that we're past the peak of uncertainty in the Middle East. Even if the path is uneven, some form of resolution ultimately emerges. That said, this isn't without risk. Key markers to watch are the March peak in oil prices and whether the 10-year Treasury pushes meaningfully above 4.5%. still based on the weight of evidence, resilient economy, and profits boom. The bull market continues to deserve the benefit of the doubt, which is a great way of finishing the update there. So I hope you guys are getting excited there. Great to see Blair in the house there. Hi all, good to see you, Blair. Welcome to the chat there as well. And we will see what will happen with the Middle East there, with the 14-point proposal. Could end the conflict. Obviously, you're making a deal with a terrorist state. So we'll see what happens in that front. In any case, let's jump over to the crypto news. So stock market was pretty good, and the economic results pretty good. So let's get into crypto, which is also moving higher as well after having a bit of a retrace. So we're at 2.769 trillion, up 1.3%. So the market's back on the move heading into the weekend. Number one is Bitcoin at $80,371. That is up 0.7% in the last 24 hours, 2.6% for the week. Ethereum there is up 1.4% at $2,316. That is up 1% for the week. We've got XRP at number 4, up 3.4% for the day, and that is $1.43. That represents basically the week as well, which is up 3.3%. The BNB is at number 5, up 2.7%, $655. That's up 6.4% for the week. Solana at number 7 is up 5.6% at $93.16, up 11.2% for the week. So really good move there for Solana. We've got Tron at number 8 is up 0.6% at 35 cents, up 7.3% for the week. And then finally Doge, which had been doing pretty well a couple of days ago, is up 3.6% today at 11 cents and up 1.7% for the week. So you can see Solana is the big mover over the last week, up 11.2% in there, and BNB not too bad as well at 6.4. Top performer in the top 100. Well, we got Ondo on the move. Ondo there powerfully moving since yesterday and the day before. We've been covering that the last couple of days. Ondo is leading the tokenization in many ways right now, and we've seen some major moves on Ondo. It has re-rated quite aggressively, up 35% in the last 24 hours and up 75% in the last week. So we have been talking about that. No surprises there. Tokenization is coming, guys. One would argue that this is a leading indicator for Ethereum as well, obviously with tokenization being the mega theme for Ethereum, as well as stablecoins and agentic AI, right? So a leading indicator about an Ethereum boom coming down the track there. Internet computer number 46, there's up 32% as well, doing very well, up 70% for the week. So pretty not too far behind Ondo. Siren there up 27% today, up 78% for the week. Jupiter up 19%, 38% for the week. And Filecoin there, number 5, up 16%, and it's up 39%. So we're starting to get double-digit moves on some of these leading projects. Pretty exciting. Best performer over the last week, well, we've got Toncoin there from Telegram. Siren, number 2. These are up 94% and 78%. Sky AI up 76% for the week. Obviously, Ondo, the best performer overnight, up at number 4, up 75%. And Intercomputer, number 2 overnight, is up at 70%. So getting some really good moves now, guys, and some of the leading projects in the top 100. All right, let's jump over to the top 1,000. We've got RapDag. We've got Constellation. They're both up about 105%. And then we've got Connect on Fanable, up 65% in the top 1,000. Trending overall, Ondo, not surprising. Tokenization again. Constellation and Pudgy Penguins on the move as well. So there we go. Those are trending overall. So a pretty green day, and starting to get some really nice appreciations, right? Particularly for tokenization. Can't be too bad, right? Leechstar in the house there. Can't wait for the Pulsechain to start melting faces. There's a Leechstar. You're talking about Pulsechain. So that is the crypto market. Let's jump into some of the news. So some of the news is pretty exciting. We've got the Clarity Act coming, right? So the Clarity Act's on the move. The Banking GOP Committee markup of the Clarity Act is set for Thursday, May the 14th. So that's next week, guys, at 10:30 Eastern. So I don't know. Expect next week to continue the rally. It's going to be hard to hold crypto back, is it? Is there going to be a negative market maker out there? I don't know. It's going to be hard. We're getting all this excitement about the Clarity Act. So yeah, pretty exciting there. May the 14th, full select committee executive session considering HR 3633, the Digital Asset Market Clarity Act of 2025. That has got to be fun, right? It's going to be exciting. So that's pretty cool. Moving on to the odds. The odds are going up apparently on the prediction markets on Polymarket is now up to 674%. So that is changing fast. That is changing fast. Expectation of the Clarity market there is going through very, very soon, which is pretty cool. Now, what are the implications? Well, we're going to hear from Coinbase, and that is Brian Armstrong. Brian Armstrong, of course, fired something like 14% of their people, but he's still got his job. That's always how it works, right? That's always how it works. I've seen some interesting things in my time, and I've seen a lot of narcissistic CEOs. I'm not saying necessarily Brian is, but I've seen a lot of them get promoted while they fire half of their staff. Have you ever seen that? Let me know in the chat if you've seen that. All right, so let's hear from on a more positive note. Let's hear from Brian Armstrong on the implications of the Clarity Act here. Let's go for gold. Let me play this.
When legislation comes out and gets signed into law, from your perspective, what are the things that you expect to see over the next year in terms of who new will be participating in the crypto ecosystem, and what do you expect they will be doing?
Yeah, well, you're correct that the Clarity Act is about much more than just stablecoins and rewards. I think, as Paul mentioned, it will create a lot of opportunities for people to work on tokenization, having clarity about what's a commodity versus a security, exchanges and custodians, what their roles are. DeFi has an important role to play here, self-custodial wallets. And so there's going to be lots of energy that comes out of it. I think it's going to be a little bit like when the Genius Act passed for stablecoins, and we saw a couple hundred large companies in the US come out in the subsequent months and announce integrations with stablecoins. And so this means that hopefully lots of companies in a world post Clarity being passed will come out and start to integrate crypto. They might use it to raise money on chain. They might use it to provide crypto services to their customers. I think it'll just unlock a lot of institutional capital that'll flow into the space broadly. And the opportunity is really there for Coinbase to go provide those services to all these companies coming into crypto post Clarity being passed into law, and actually power integrations for many of them as well via Coinbase developer platform. So we think it's going to be very additive. We want every company to be integrated into the crypto-enabled financial system, just like they use the internet or AI or any other technology.
All right, so a couple key things there. Obviously, institutions are coming. That's going to open up. Banks will be able to come in much easier with the regulations. They will have the appetite to do so. We're obviously going to get a lot of development done, a lot of new development from the perspective of banks and institutions as well. Obviously a lot more collaborations and alliances, and then also potentially big bank offerings as well, simplifying the crypto offerings there on chain. So I think there's just many things that are going to come out of it overall. It is pretty cool. All right, so let's jump into Bitcoin and see where Bitcoin is at the moment. Bitcoin there heading back to the upside, as we can see. We had a beautiful rally. Look at that rally just go up all the way up to 82,800. So we got rejected at 83,000. We came all the way back down here to as low as around about 79,500 or 79,400, and then it's been pretty choppy in here. And then we've just started to come up to the upside. We'll see whether we can get a move on here. On the hourly, we're over the 50 hourly there, 50 moving average for the hourly at 80,367. Let's go to the trader's view of 4 hours and see how these moving averages are going on this. And we can see that we bounced off the 4 hour trading view, which is really good. That's a 50 moving average, and we bounced off that. So a nice rally, and then a retest here, support, and then it looks like we're about to move up. So hopefully, all things equal, we should continue on. Hopefully into the weekend. We've got the Clarity Act coming up next week. So pretty exciting times there. Let's jump over to the daily. We go to the daily now. And we have got the next target is on the daily. The 200 moving average is at 82,000. That's still the mark that we've been targeting for some time, as you can sort of see. It's been relatively flat, coming down a little bit, but relatively flat. And so targeting that is the key there. And we've been moving up real nice. Look at that, real nice move. In fact, on the bottom of that move there, if we take it from the local low here on the 29th, we're at 64,000, let's say 65,000 rounded, and we rallied all the way up 27% in 38 days. So not bad, right? $17,700 there. And it does look like we may have got the bottom in, right? May have got the bottom in there. That's that orange box. with the low back here on the 6th of February of 60K. So very exciting. Now, why we only go 52% down is that probably because that last rally, in my view, two things. One was a mid high, so not the top of the market, but sort of that midpoint high that we often get when we come into the bear market and get a rally, and then we don't quite go to the top, come back down, and then the next move is to a new real big all-time high, because 126 was fairly modest on that high. And also we have institutions coming in and all the technology themes coming in of stablecoins, tokenization, agentic AI, all sorts of things like that. So that's changing the whole game. It's not just a retail play like previous cycles and Bitcoin halving. So I think that's the thesis, and that seems to be playing out as we've been covering a lot of the evidence for that, particularly in the last couple of weeks. So let's see how we get on over the weekend with the 82K. See if we can rally on that. Now, sometimes on Sundays, of course, we get market manipulations coming in sometimes. Don't know whether it's the exchanges trying to route their margin positions of their retail clients or what they're doing, but it's certainly we could still see something like that during the week ahead. But actually, Clarity Act coming up for Thursday, and then with the markup, and then we may get some sort of deal out of Iran as well. We'll keep a lookout for all that, all bullish news, right? So that is Bitcoin. Hey, good to see Pulse Bitcoin in the house there. Hi all, glad I'm catching alive today. Fat Sammy, hey, great to see Pulse Bitcoin in the house there. Big shout out. I think it's just Fat Sammy's just done a new post on Hex as well. So if you're interested in eHex commentary, go check it out on Fat Sammy's account on X. So that is that's the Bitcoin there. But let's quickly go. So we've got 82 is the mark to get over. And if we look at the weekly, then we've got the moving average there as well, and that's up at 86,000. So 82 to 86, kind of the next zone to get into. And if we power through that, then you probably start heading up to 90, 94 to 96, and maybe even 100K, right? That is kind of the two little targets in front of us right now. All right, let's jump over to Michael Saylor. Obviously, Michael Saylor had earlier in the week, we had the Q1 results. We had Michael Saylor talking a little bit about, for the first time, selling some Bitcoin, but only selling Bitcoin that was tax efficient and beneficial, and of course would be paying dividends for their stretch products. So that is a pretty modest thing in the context of it, and that was the idea. So ultimately, they're going to continue on with their strategy, and they also hinted, or not hinted, but talked about removing debt out of their program. That would impact their debt to asset ratios, and also what they call their amplification, removing the debt side of things. Obviously, they still have their stretch products, so there'll still be amplification that will grow, but the other preferred kind of stocks, other products they got, would slowly disappear. That's kind of the idea that they're doing there, which should make a a stronger strategy company moving forward, while they're still accumulating mass Bitcoin. So last night we were waiting for the ATM for the stretch product. That's their preferred stock that they offer to the money market, bond markets. They finally got some ATM movement. I think it's been normally it's about 10 days, and I think it's been about 13 or 14 days. But I think they finally got there, and we've had a little bit of money printing. They had 2 cents of volatility, and they're able to raise $216 million of liquidity. So not $1 billion days, but it's a beginning. And next week should be absolutely amazing. We should start I think we're probably going to get some $1 billion days like we did in the previous 2 months, or at least last month, and then the previous month was pretty good too. And this should be the big third. So we're going to have 4 days of big printing coming up next week, because it goes ex-dividend, right, for the 15th. And so keep a look out for that. $216 million just raised with a little bit of liquidity there. Crazy, right? Crazy. At par after market too, so finished around par, $100 there. Remember, anytime it's over $100, that they can issue more stretch product, and that raises capital, and they go buy Bitcoin with it. That's basically the idea. And then they get an obligation to pay a dividend, essentially. Well, they don't have to pay it, but that'd be suicidal, right? So that's kind of it there. So that is pretty cool. So finally, I thought we might have got it earlier this week, Monday, Tuesday, but of course we had the Q1 results on, and then we've had Wednesday, Thursday. And it didn't quite get to $100. So I only did that last night for the first time, I believe. And so we've just started. So next week, game on. That's kind of the play on that one. All right. So the other thing is that we've got the CEO of Strategy, which is the number one digital asset treasury that offers the Stretch product and buys Bitcoin for the MSTR, the common stock. The CEO is Phong Le. He joined CNBC to discuss how MSTR maximizes Bitcoin per share, how Stretch creates new opportunities, dividend coverage, Bitcoin liquidity, and Strategy continue to focus on delivering shareholder value. And Phong Le says, I believe in math over ideology. And this was the interview. So we're going to watch this one. It's about 5 minutes long. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. We were doing a bit more of a video live stream today because we got lots of cool little insight videos. So I thought we'd play that. Pulse Bitcoin, yeah, we'll get up to Tom Lee in a minute. We're still doing Bitcoin right now, but we'll get there. We'll get there. We got Frank White at Houston as well. Bang, bang, Pulse gang. Good to see you, Frank White. Welcome to the chat too. All right, so let's play this video as well.
Largest crypto treasury company, surprising investors a little bit this week, suggesting they could abandon their long-standing never sell Bitcoin approach and instead actively manage holdings to maximize the value of its Bitcoin per share. The stock is up. It's up 4% today and on pace for its fifth positive week in a row, although it's about 60% below its 52-week high from July of last year. Let's bring in an exclusive interview. Phong Le, he is the CEO of Strategy. Phong, it's great to have you back here. Welcome.
Thanks for having me again.
And describe in your words this change in strategy from never selling Bitcoin to managing the Bitcoin, what is it, price per share?
Bitcoin per share, yeah.
Okay, thank you. What is the philosophy behind this change?
Yeah, the biggest change that's happened to the company, and I would argue to Bitcoin and perhaps the financial markets in the last year, has been the advent of digital credit, which is Stretch. We've raised $8.5 billion in 10 months. And with that, we look at optionality, we look at our strategy, and we say, now let's look at the Bitcoin and see if it can provide us value from time to time to sell it. And ultimately, I believe in math over ideology. And at the point where selling Bitcoin versus selling equity to pay a dividend is better for our Bitcoin per share and for our common shareholders, we'll do it.
So Stretch is a perpetual preferred stock with an 11.5% yield that's paid monthly. So is what you're saying that you're selling some of your Bitcoin holdings in order to pay this yield?
We will sell our Bitcoin to pay the yield where it's accretive to our shareholders, and that's defined as accretive to Bitcoin per share, right? And the times when it's accretive are when the book value of our company is trading, below the price, or the price is trading below the book value, right? Or MNAV is below right now 1.22.
So that's just for Stretch in particular?
That's just for Stretch, but we'll also look at selling Bitcoin, for example, to capture tax gains, right? Defer tax gains or tax losses in this particular case also.
What about Strategy more broadly? You have $1.5 billion in terms of your outstanding dividend obligation, and you have about 18 months of dividend coverage. Is that right at current levels?
That's right. And then we also have behind that about $60 billion worth of Bitcoin to cover our dividends also.
Go ahead, Steve.
Talk about the concept of liquidity with me for a second. Liquidity, some people define as the idea that I can buy or sell an asset and not affect the price. That's not true for Strategy, right? When you guys announce you're going to possibly sell Bitcoin, you're the largest corporate holder of Bitcoin, as I understand it. So do you feel like you have the liquidity for this, or the flexibility that you need for this strategy, or are you constrained by what happens when Strategy sells Bitcoin?
Bitcoin trades north of $60 billion a day, right? And if our entire annual dividend is $1.5 billion that we have to pay, right, on a daily basis, we're talking percentage points or basis points of the Bitcoin liquidity. What you saw, for example, is the last couple of weeks, we didn't buy any Bitcoin and Bitcoin price went up. So I don't think although we're a big player of overall Bitcoin, we own almost 4%. On a daily basis, I don't think we're driving the price up or down, and we're not a big part of liquidity isn't an issue for us.
And do you believe that there's any reason to question dividend coverage either for Stretch or for core Strategy at this point?
Right now, our leverage is right around 10 to 15%. Our amplification is about 35%, right? And if you compare that to typical companies, we would be rated just based on those KPIs as an investment grade stock. So I don't see that being an issue right now, and we manage it very closely. We look at the equity, we look at the debt, and we try to manage our leverage and amplification level very thoughtfully.
Quick question that's been floated, this idea, would you hive off the software part of the business? Is that something you thought about?
Not really. The software business is a small, I would say, non-material part of our business, about $500 million in revenue, and grew 11% in the first quarter, so it's doing well. But it's neither a distraction nor an important asset in our overall business.
So you feel pretty good about this, right? We asked you some tough questions, and you feel pretty good about this strategy. It's going to be a good one for the company.
Yeah, I mean, look at what's happened to our equity holders since we entered this strategy almost 6 years ago. Right, we've outperformed Bitcoin by about 50%. So Bitcoin's been up 40%, we've been up 60%. So we've clearly been positive to our equity holders. And now if you look at our preferred holders, somebody who otherwise couldn't get access to yield is getting 11.5% paid monthly in cash, tax deferred. So I think we're providing an important service to Bitcoin, to common equity holders, and our preferred holders, and they're all quite happy right now.
All right, well, thanks for joining us, Phong Le.
All right, so a couple of highlights there is obviously Strategy's the number one digital asset treasury in Bitcoin. Obviously, Malcolm Saylor, the founder there, and you've got the CEO there just giving us a great breakdown of the products. So MSTR, the common stock, Stretch, the preferred stock there, targeting the as a product targeting the money market, debt markets. They're offering 2 to 4%, so they're offering 11.5%. So it's a no-brainer. And this is really the third month that we're expecting it to really do well. And of course, next week we should see some potentially, if it mirrors the previous 2 months, some $1 billion days, and that is equating to massive Bitcoin buys, potentially 10 to 25,000 Bitcoin, somewhere like that. So it'll be pretty big. So we'll keep looking out for that next week. And of course, we only just hit ATM a little bit today, about 220 million. So pretty exciting stuff there. Now, he was indicating that the market is bigger than them. So they weren't buying any Bitcoin over last week. Obviously, they had their quarterly meeting and that the market was moving up anyway, right? So they've got all that going on, which is kind of exciting to see too. We also saw the BlackRock ETF, which strategy had passed by them a couple of weeks back. Well, the BlackRock ETF then bought even more Bitcoin and then passed by strategy. So we got a bit of a game going on with the number one ETF and the strategy there in terms of number one position, holding Bitcoin as a corporate, right? So we've got BlackRock there with IBIT holding 822,000 Bitcoin. We've got a strategy holding 1,818, so it's about a 4,000 difference there. We're probably going to see a little bit of that go forward, although next week we could see, strategy blow past them again, but we are seeing increasing buying from the ETF as well. So going to be a bit of a tit for tat for a little while. It's going to be hard, I guess, for them to compete with strategy, although strategy is also pushing ETF people to buy more because they see what strategy is doing, buying so much Bitcoin and not that much Bitcoin in the markets as well. I think we got about 500,000 to 600,000 less Bitcoin in exchanges than we did in 2021. So we're probably closer to, probably to 2.3 million or so. And a lot of that is also used for other services as well, let alone, liquid trading. So it's going to be pretty fun, guys. It's going to be pretty fun to see all his heads. At the moment, obviously, strategy is offering leverage against Bitcoin. So the idea that the Stretch product will raise debt, buy Bitcoin, and give you more Bitcoin. And therefore, and if the price appreciates at 30-40% a year, then you're winning on the volume and the price. So that's kind of the play there. So we'll be watching that. And of course, they're only really going to sell Bitcoin if it is tax beneficiary and accretive to the Bitcoin per share. So that's kind of some of the background stuff there. And the market seems to be liking it because we saw the common stock MSTR start to go up last night after a few days of volatility, especially following the talk about selling any Bitcoin at all. But most analysts consider that quite bullish moving forward, as well as any debt reduction as well. So those are those two metrics, leverage and amplification, that they were talking about there. All right, so that is Bitcoin. Let's get on to Ethereum. So Ethereum right now is at $2,317, so $2,317. We've got the hourly chart here. So obviously we had a similar run up that we saw with the old Bitcoin. Obviously, Ethereum there is still lagging behind Bitcoin in some ways versus the moving averages, but we're up 9.2% there in 6 days, 7 days, and we've come back down here. We've found a little floor price around here, a little bit more of a bottom, $2,269, and now we're up at 2,317. So obviously a lot of volatility there on the hourly. But let's go to the trader's view on 4 hours. And we can see that we're just below the 50-day moving average, which is currently at 2,323. We're at 2,316, so we're about $5 below that. That's nothing amongst friends, is it? So heading there, and of course, hopefully we'll head over that yellow line over the weekend. The daily there is still lagging, relative to the Bitcoin. We saw that was closer to the moving average at the top here, the 200, and we were down at 50 here. So I think Ethereum's got a lot of room to move. But like I say, with Ondo and tokenization kind of being perhaps a lead indicator, because that's one of the mega themes, right? Tokenization, that things are going in the right direction, aren't they? And so that's kind of cool. So let's see where we go from here. The 50-day is at 22.67. We're at 23.17. So we're about $50 above it right now. And we've got a target on the back of Ethereum of just below 2,600. Up here, so with the 200-day moving average. Moving to the weekly is looking like we have to, got the target price here 2,555. That is the 200 week moving average, and the 250 moving average is at 2750. So you can see that we've got a nice target, essentially between 2,700 to move through. We're going to move through that, but like I say, we've got these bullish things coming up, with tokenization starting to take off, Ondo really showing a lead there, and all the partnerships between TradeFi and the crypto taking place there. Pretty neat. We've got Sean O'Malley in the house. They're up only indeed. Let's go. All right, so let's jump over to some of the ETH news, as Sam was talking about, and that is Tom Lee. So Tom Lee is the #1 digital asset treasury for Ethereum. That is Bitminer Mission. Ticker is BMNR. And we've got Tom talking about slowing down the pace of buying. They've been buying the last 3 weeks 101,000 ETH a week, calling the bottom in, essentially, right? Now, they've also got another final call of the bottom. Tom Lee got to be a bit flexible. And that is if we end, I think it's over 76K on Bitcoin in the end of May, then that's truly the bottom, and that's the final seal of approval there. So it depends on who's Tom's talking to, right? Now, Tom is a perma bull. What do we mean by that? It means that because he's covering a digital asset treasury, he is bullish long term. In other words, he can make short term price predictions. He's very good at doing them, but he also is wrong sometimes as well. It's hard for anybody to be 100%. So just take note of that. So he's got price predictions, but he can be wrong because it's he's a long-term player, as opposed to somebody that's doing technical analysis that has to trade for a living. They need to be pretty close to be right all the time, right? So you got a bit of that, give or take. So just take note of that. But anyway, they've been buying tons of Ethereum. They're sitting at about 5.2 million ETH. They've staked about 90% of it so far, and I wouldn't be surprised if they get to 100% very soon. And they've also got another, I don't know, was it another 800 or 1,000 or so Ethereum to buy to get to their 5% alchemy, or 6 million Ethereum there. So that's kind of they're well on their way. So let's listen to one or two little videos from Tom at the recent CoinDesk presentation here.
We crossed 1% on August 13th, 2% in September of last year, 3% in November, and we crossed 4% in early April. But I do think we're going to slow down our pace of buying. I'm not sure we want to get to 5% too quickly. We're deciding perhaps we want to accumulate at a somewhat slower pace because there's other things to be doing in crypto right now.
So while I agree that Tom Lee is doing other things in crypto because he's building out a finance monetary system as well as just the ETH DAO, or the ETH holdings, I should say. But they've also got issues with the MNAV, so they need the MNAV to be over 1. So that's been under pressure for quite a long time. They still have about $700 million in cash. So there are some pragmatic things going on here. They obviously want ETH to lift in price, and that can definitely happen moving forward. And so I think the MNAV has got back to 1 today. So we'll be looking at the MNAV there. And number 2 is, they've got lots of moving pieces going on, putting this finance thing together where they're trying to bring institutions over as well as doing mass market adoption through Mr. Beast Industries, right? So this is their path, this is their vision towards mass adoption. It also ends up connecting into Orbs or 8Co, another company that has a lot of investment positions in companies like OpenAI, which will be going to market. Those are going to be one of the big $1 trillion ICOs, and also they're doing digital ID as well. Now, obviously in DeFi, we're not really interested in that sort of stuff. There are also, arguably issues with some of that, but that's some of the technology that CeFi and traditional markets like, and because they want to know if someone's real as opposed to being a bot, right? So this is the irony. We're going to have a big bot boom, but we also, a lot of people want to know whether it's a real person as well. So that technology, regardless of whether you like it or not, is going to be applied, right? So we'll see what happens in that zone moving forward, and all these pieces are going to come together, and mass adoption there. Obviously, Mr. Beast bought a bank / finance app called Leap. They're going to be probably modifying and onboarding it onto Ethereum, and of course offering not only banking products but probably Ethereum on there too. It's going to be pretty interesting to see how that plays out. We also, obviously, Tom Lee is also doing an app as well. So we'll find out what services are on there. Obviously, only was it a month or 2 ago, they launched their staking protocol, Maven. They are obviously staking on there as well as offering third-party services. And I believe that they've got over $2 billion from third-party services also staking in Maven as well. So you can sort of see they're creating this infrastructure layer and then building on top of it these sort of institutional retail mass adoption plays. So that's all coming together. I think we'll see quite a bit of that play out in the second half of this year. So expect sort of that maybe third, fourth quarter. We could start getting some news there, certainly into 27 as well. So it's a big play. It's a big play, right? So look out for that. All right, so that is a part of that. Now, also, Tom obviously gave us some price predictions. This was pretty cool. This went kind of viral, so we'll get into this little video. This is about 2 minutes long as well.
Chairman of Bitmine Emergent Technologies and the founder of Fundstrat Global Advisors.
Amazing. Bitcoin price end of 2026?
I think it's well past all-time highs. So I think somewhere between 150,000 and 250,000.
Ethereum price end of 2026?
Even better. So I think Ethereum, because I do think crypto winter's over, somewhere between maybe 9,000 to 12,000.
What is one habit that made you successful?
Well,
I'm not going to play that whole video clip. There is some good stuff in there, but that was the price prediction there from Tom Lee for the end of the year. And you're talking about 150, 200. Now, I think that's pretty good. Now, we've got the power law that we look at, right? That's got 200K at the end of 26. So I think that's a pretty good mark, right? So we're going to beat out that 126. I'm feeling pretty good about that too. And we've got all these fundamental things happening around, tokenization, Ondo, the Clarity Act, everything else feeding into that in the next sort of 7 months, right? 7.5 months. So I'm pretty good about that. And the 12K, I definitely see that plausible too. Obviously, we'll get up as a percentage of the Ethereum there. Remember, 2021 bull market, we had 9%. So I'm feeling pretty good that we can get up into that 9 to 12K. Definitely, if we pass by the 5K mark, which I think is going to happen pretty fast. I think that's going to happen pretty fast during this year. We've got the Clarity Act coming up next week with the write-up. If that gets pushed through into June and voting into the President of the United States desk by the 4th of July, which is the current target, that's just a huge catalyst because all the institutions will come in. We come back to that interview with Coinbase CEO talking about all the institutional stuff coming in. So they're already coming. They're already coming. So even without the act, we probably don't even need the act. We're still getting all the stuff happening anyway. This will just add fuel to the fire, and all given that regulation cover is kind of the final tick of approval. And it keeps a lot of innovation in the United States as opposed to innovation going abroad and, so let's say Asian markets, for example. All right, so that's kind of cool from Tom Lee. Now we're going to get into Pulsechain. Do you guys like Pulsechain? We're going to get into Pulsechain here. I'm going to find the latest and greatest in the markets here, and let's do that. Let me get into the chain here. All right, so what do we got here? We got Pulse. So we've moved to Pulsechain stats, right, from GoPulse. We've got all 5 tickers on here. We're on day 1092, can you believe it? Since Pulsechain launched on the 13th of May 2023. It was a full system state fork of Ethereum on the 10th of May 2023. I'm sure there's people out there with some pretty big bags. Don't even realize they got all these fork tokens over there. Even if the prices come down dramatically, they've still got the old fork tokens. That's the play. Anyway, Pulse Bitcoin there was, I did cover your Tom Lee price targets there. Pretty handsome there. And they line up pretty well with the power law stuff as well. Pulse there is at 508. Now, we've obviously got rounding going on here, so we'll have to zoom in on the actual chart. But we've got, that's up 1.6% today. We're trying to find the bottom of Pulse, right? So we're going to look at the Pulse chart later on. We've got Hex at the moment is at 1300th of a penny, up 2.1%. That is Hex on Pulsechain. We've got ProveX at the moment is up. I've got to make sure I'm on the daily. Oh no, it's all-time high. Sorry, what the heck is going on here? Let me get there. Okay, let me refresh here. So 3.7% up on Pulse at the moment. We're up 3% on Hex at the moment, 1300th of a penny. A good thing I checked that, right? Good check. That thing I checked that. ProveX down. ProveX is down 5.14%. Hurrah! Okay, 4059. So we're getting there, guys. We're getting there. Now, we've got different market caps around, haven't we? This one here is saying 18.9 mil. That's interesting. Pulsex at the moment is at 506. That's up 4%. And we've got the incentive token at 36 cents, up 6%. So some interesting numbers there, right? Some interesting numbers. Market caps for Pulsechain based on Pulsechain stats, that's pretty interesting, is at 117 million. Hex is at 93 million. That's P-Hex. Pulsex is at 113 million. And then Inc is at 20 million. Interesting numbers. I wonder what the adjustments they've done there. They've got the supply numbers. And we've got market cap for ProveX at 19, which is interesting. Very different numbers from GoPulse and from Dick Screener, isn't it? Pretty sure. So that is the market. Let's go look at the gas prices. We're at 750,000 for the beats, so that's way cheaper than we've had recently. We've been up at 900 to like 1.2 million. Pulsex swap at the moment is less than 1/10 of a penny. It's pretty cool. So we're at 8800th of a penny, 112 Pulse. So super cheap to do business on Pulsechain. The bridge stats. So one of the reasons why we moved from GoPulse to Pulsechain stats as well is because they had reliable, up-to-date, adjusted stablecoin values, because the other one wasn't adjusting for Coast. I had to sort of just take it off. But we're at 53.65 million. We also have some interesting daily changes. So last week we're down 1.35%. Honestly, since about the 26th of April, we've had a tough time on the old bridge values. We've had a tough time. I mean, let's be frank about that. We've probably had at least a couple million go out the chain there. So yeah, it's been a tough time. 30-day change down 3.4%. And you can see the chart here down here. You know, it's been a bit rough. You know, we had a peak over here, 57. We're at 53. So even more than I said, a couple million. You know, it's been like you know, $4 million or something. So it's been a tough time on the old chain recently. All right, so that is the old bridge, but you know, it's we've still got validators operating. So let's check out the validators. We're sitting at, where's the validators here? 54,000 is the peak, but we're sitting below 50K at 49,870 validators right now. So that's kind of where we are on the mark there. APR currently about 8.5%, but we also have other, you know, DeFi offerings like Vouch and Validator X offering, you know, liquidity staking, just like we do with Lido and Rocket Pool over on Ethereum. So, you know, Pulsechain has its cool DeFi. So there we go. All right, let's jump over to what else are we doing? Are we doing anything else? Should we do liquidity? No, we won't do liquidity, but let's move on. Let's move on to the markets there and see what is rocking. What is rocking on the DMV? Well, our volume's so low. What the heck? 2.9 million. It's even lower than normal. Normally we're in about 3.5. We are heading into the weekend as well. Are we going to head to, you know, like 2.2 mil for the weekend? Hopefully we don't go below 2 mil. That would be truly sad. But you know, these times when we get these low volumes, maybe it's time for market makers to come in and push us higher, right? That could be a leading indicator. It could be a leading indicator there. We got a new token been around for 10 days now. I haven't checked this one. Remember, we're just going through the top 100 trending on Dick Screener. Do your own due diligence, not financial advice. And if you you know, CryptoSolve does a great job covering a lot of honeypots and things like that. Just take note of all those risks. But I try to pick off the ones there. I don't always get to check that one. I haven't checked BMint but that's up 80% apparently. It's got very low volume. It's most of the plays on Pulsechain are retail plays. Okay, let's be fair. We have probably 6, maybe 7 projects based on Pulse coin list data that are trading over 100,000 a day. So most of the plays are less than that, right? So just take note of that. Very important there. So we got Pikachu right now is been around for 2 weeks. That's up 39%. I don't know whether that's the safety of that either. I don't know what platform that launched on, whether it was Pump Tires or maybe even Coin Mafia, something like that. We got Amiga DAO. This is from Cabal King, so we do know this one. This one you are earning Hex. So just like ZKP, where you earn ProveX, which is Richard Hart's token, here you earn Hex, which is another Richard Hart token, and that is up 33%. So a really nice power play here for Amiga DAO. And basically you buy Amiga and then you can lock it for up to 10 years. So you can get a 10x multiplier there, and you can earn high yield and Hex there. And volume is king, right? So they're doing about 8K, which is pretty damn good today. So it's had a real boost there on that one. So Amiga DAO in the mix there, one of the successful DeFi launches there, and Cabal King is involved with that one. Pump Tires DAI, that's up 24% right now. We've got at least four different DAI tokens on Pulsechain, including PDAI. And it is up 24% on the old Pump Tires DAI right now. Ticking away there. World's greatest PDAI printer from OG WebChef, up 20% at $1.12. We've got Reserve Tay from James and Maria. We've got 3 pairs there, including one tied into Treasury Bill and Reserve Tay. And that is up about 14%. So nice little move there. True Farm are making a nice little move here too, up 10.5% at just below 78 cents. One of our 2 top high APR farms on Pulsechain right now, including Emmett Farm from Kairos, and that is up 10.5% there from the True DeFi team. And the True DeFi team has leaders. They've got Daniel in it, Neil, Executioner, and these guys are also running the big DeFi space on Pulsechain. If you want to go hear them interview a lot of other teams as well, and doing on X Spaces, they're doing a great job there too. So keep up the good work there, fellas. High APRs, 2x Pulse Miner, DeFi on Pulsechain X Spaces. I mean, these guys are busy. They're busy, and they're managing all the SRE fund as well, the first investment fund on Pulsechain, running around, investing in top tier protocols. So, doing a lot. This team doing a lot. Dominance there from OG WebChef as well, up 9.5%. Vouch, we talked about liquid staking earlier, and we'll Vouch there. Obviously, we had Jexa on a couple of weeks ago, and that was fantastic. And of course, Vouch has had boosting in their yield, and that's up 9% right now. So nice little move for Vouch. ZKP, we talked about Amiga up here from Cabal King. We've got ZKP here from Kairos, and that's up 8.7% as well. And I think Cabal King may be involved with that to some degree, and that is up 8.7% right now at number 13. So even though we've got low volume, we've got a little, these DeFi plays, retail book plays. We've got a couple of good ones on the move. What else we got? PTC the Greys there up 7% there. GoPulse, ironically enough, up 7.7%. Ink Token there up 6.6%. RH Pepe was a recent launch. That was 19 days ago. That is up 6.5% right now. We got Doubt Token, one of our popular top meme coins. That's up 6.25%, number 22 on the move. Finvestor, the grandparent of the OG WebChef ecosystem, $1.21, and that is up 5.5% as well. We got Most Wanted, another top meme coin like Doubt Token, and that is up 5%. So we've got a few little movers here. Gizmo at number 30 is up 5%. Emmett Farm, we talked about True Farm up here, offering high APRs. Well, obviously, Emmett Farm is kind of the king of the hill there with the biggest amount of collabs. All your popular tokens, you can earn high yields on most of them on here, and that's sitting at $1.31 at 5% at the moment. So keep up good work there, Kairos. And of course, he's also the founder of ZKP. You buy ZKP, stake it, and you earn from the reflection tokens. You earn ProveX tokens. So there we go, from Richard Hart. So nice little one there. What else we got going? Number 32 is a Liberty, up 4.8%. And I just forgot what Liberty is. So we'll just quickly go in and check this because I couldn't remember. This is an all access and rewards token for Liquid Liberty Protocol and Liberty Market on Pulsechain. And they've got a 21 million supply there. So no doubt they got the website there. Yeah, it's been a little while since I forgot who they were. But it's good to go remind ourselves, right? Curve, CVRE. There's 2 curves. This one's CVRE. The other one I think is CURV or something. And this one here is the property tokenizer, real estate tokenizer one, I believe. 4% there. Another James Maria, a Troper, up 4.5% there. Liquid Loans, the third biggest sacrifice pool. $52 million from liquor loans. That's up 4.4% right now. And is it coming off the bottom? That's the question. Our number one liquidity fork, it collateralizes Pulse and has its own stablecoin, USDL. USDL is stablecoin, and Loan is the protocol token. It is down at the bottom here on US dollar terms. But let's be fair and have a look at the Pulse ratio. It is pretty down as well. It's come off the bottom, but it's still pretty much down bigger, and it's testing the slightly higher range. Liquidity is only 31K. Can you believe it? That was sorry. Every time I see it, it just makes me laugh. You know, small liquidity is good for pumping coins, but it's really bad for big players to come in. So it is what it is. This should have much bigger liquidity. Let's be fair, given the protocol and the amount that was raised. So that's just a few thoughts there. Few thoughts. We got Hex and Richard Hart's Pulse X at the moment, up about 4%. UFO from PDC the Greys up 4%. Just had their 2-year birthday. BFF, another OG web chef token, number 45, up 3.8%. Pump Tires, the main launching site here as well, up 3.7%. Let's have a quick look at Pump Tires. Obviously, as Pulsechain goes up, we'll probably get a lot more token launches off here as well. And we do get quite a few already. That's 1/1500th of a penny. The Pulse ratio sitting at 194. It's not up here. It's not up around 350, but it's still humming around this zone and at the top of the range. So it is doing what it's doing. Over $1 million, I think, has been burned. Is that right? $1 million has been burned through that. Under Pump Fund, all the profits go to the who ran Pump Fund? I can't remember, but goes to the the fat cats. Whereas this benefits the Pulsechain ecosystem. So it's kind of cool. All right, how we're doing for time? We're doing pretty well. So let's get all the way down here. We've got the Pump Fund at number 49. So those are top 50. They're in the money there. 9mm, our second biggest DEX, up 3.5%. That's been moving up nicely, hasn't it? The old 9mm pre trend reversal on Pulse. What else we got down here? Swarm up 3%. Peacock here is sitting at they're trying to head towards 1.2 cents again, up 3%. I think we've had some buying there from Liberty Swap over the night. And we had a couple of weeks back, a couple of the page 1 and 2 holders were selling down. So you have to get rid of some of those. You always do, right? That's been one of the most successful projects. So you've always got to have a bit of rinsing going out there. So there's been a bit of a battle. But Peacock, apparently they've got the buying power of about 10,000 validators. So you've got this tit for tat. And of course, they don't just buy Peacock; they also buy Pulse and ETH with their treasury, building up their treasury, which I think is a pretty good balance there. So that's the Peacock from Liberty Swap, or at least the official coin for Liberty Swap. Sparta from Wendy's for Tendies, a Hex OG guy, 2.8%. Not much Hex in there, but apparently they've got other tokens. Halgo, another Hex derivative as well, up 2.3% at number 66. And then we've got Zero Trust tied in the old Peacock ecosystem at 1.8%. Teddy Bear, all James Maria's meme coin here, and that's up about percent or more on those. Stacks is up 0.8% there. STM, Surgical Trainers, is pretty flat, number 79. So we've got 79 coins out of top 100 pairs here that are in the green. Everything else is slightly red. Let's have a look at the worst burgers. We've got Staked ETH, which has been a good performer recently. That's down 9.5%, so a bit of profit taking there. John Gotti was also one of the top performers recently. That is down 8%, a bit of profit taking. And Pruvex there, not managing to really move up and over that 21 moving average. And that is currently down 4.7%. The only Richard Hardcore the coin that is down today. And we could see that on the daily yesterday was quite a down day. We had a low of 5,700. 5,700. That 21-day moving average is sitting at 6,700. So we've got a bit of work to do. It's heading in the wrong direction. That's pretty much it. But we are up today from yesterday. We've got 14% to get back to 21 moving average. And we are up today, though, a little bit there. How much are we up? Well, we're up from the low yesterday anyway, and that's about 3.6%. But we're down 5% over the last 24 hours. RSI not oversold yet, 37. What's the 4-hour indicating? 4-hour indicating maybe we'll selling exhaustion's almost there, but not guaranteed. We could come back down to 5,700 a year. So take note of that before we really get out of the woods. Now RSI goes into oversold territory. So maybe 5,700 is a pickup there. Do your own due diligence, not financial advice, all that good stuff. We got M Condor in the house there. I guess Sandy Beach finally bailed out, but I'm here, Kiwi. Sandy's around. She's doing a fitness condo. But yeah, great to see Kiwis in the house. Frank White says something new is coming soon. Has to do with ZKP, Emmett, and True Farm. Very excited about that, Frank. That's very exciting from Kairos, no doubt, and the True DeFi team. And wouldn't be surprised they've been leading the pack there in the old DeFi space on Pulsechain. So let's watch out for that. More coming from those heavyweights. So that is ProveX there. And so, yeah, maybe almost a buy, maybe almost a bow. Mafia from Racker Michelle down 3.7% at $2.50. And what else? We've got SCADA down 1.7%, and Top Hat tied into Peacock from the top influencer Crypto Coffee down 1.4%. So that's pretty much it. Sun and Mini Meal down 1% as well. The good old European gym and food provider there, and that's pretty much where we are on the markets. So let's quickly go. How are we doing for time? We're doing 55 minutes. So we're actually doing pretty quick today. Sometimes I check out and we're hour and 15, hour and 30, but today not so much. So let's quickly go and find Liberty Swap. We're also going to have a look at Alex, because I think he's been talking more about his Rabby wallet fork. So kind of cool. Peacock is going to Coinbase, and you can't do anything to stop it, says Liberty Swap. So obviously they've been probably talking to Coinbase, getting registered there. That's obviously a big move. Their goal is to get essentially top 50 on CoinMarketCap, right? Top 50, and arguably $1 billion was also another goal that they had. And that would be, there's only about 6 or 7 meme coins in the world that are $1 billion. And of course, Peacock is a utility meme, meaning that it's got the big DeFi ecosystem, buying it up there as well. But you do also have to get, market participation as well. So is it time? Peacock says on there. So kind of cool. Now we've seen them submit all their documents some months ago to CoinMarketCap, and we're waiting for them to get re-rated from 24-hour volume to market cap, right? And that would suddenly jump them from like number 4,300 all the way up to top 800 or something like that, in top 900. So we're looking out for that. So at least top 1,000 now. All those sort of things in play. So kind of cool. Now, obviously, they've got their big upgrades coming this week. So we're expecting the wallet upgrade. That's the first major upgrade after they launch the wallet. And we're also expecting the yield product to be in play as well. I think they've done the contracts, so we may get that all next week. So obviously they're a little bit later than we expect, but they're working on some pretty big stuff, right? So I think we can give them a little bit of slack there because they're doing such big things in their ecosystem. So what's another week amongst friends, right? What's another week amongst friends? And so on. So yeah, 11 hours ago to the $9,000 of Peacock buying. So there we go, adding some more. And they also are buying, ETH and Pulse as well, which is pretty cool. Best way, yeah. So some good stuff happening from the team. Now I was going to scroll back up here because I want to look at that this one here. I don't know whether they've got any comments in here about that, but that's pretty exciting. Teddy bear, yeah. So yeah, keep a lookout for that. So these guys are teasing us, but there's potential that some of these will come to fruition, like Coinbase and like CoinMarketCap re-rating on market cap. These are all big catalysts for moving higher, right? As well as, of course, their amazing frontier DeFi system as well. So keep a lookout for that. Now, the other one, of course, is Alex McFurter has talked about, indicated that he's got his Cappy Rabby wallet coming for Pulsechain. Obviously, we're going to have at least 4 big blue chip wallets. We've got others, of course, but dedicated. We've got obviously Internet Money. We've got the ZKX wallet there from Liberty Swap, and we're going to have this Cappy Rabby fork from Alex McFurter, and then we're also going to have the Ramp Now wallet as well, which I believe is also I think going to be a Rabby wallet fork. So we're not going to lack here, and of course, as Alex talked about, it's the API that's the big deal, right? Not so much forking the wallet, but actually the data that goes with it, that you get data access there. And he talked about that yesterday, all the issues that he's working on right now. So yeah, extensions there as well. Cappy came out of nowhere. I just don't talk about things really. I mean, he keeps to himself, doesn't he? And then he comes out with it all when he's ready, basically. So that's kind of cool. So yeah, Cabby is that fix. So is this something you put out? I don't know if I read this. Rabby was the wallet I wanted to use, the simulator, the native DeFi tools, the way it got out of your way and let you use the chain. Then they dropped Pulsechain support. Obviously, everyone was used to that. People kept using it anyway, half broken because nothing else came close. I thought about building a replacement. Honestly, I didn't want to. I already run RPC nodes and data services for several Pulsechain products. So the ops weren't the part that scared me. The moral weight of running a wallet itself was people trust this kind of software to act consistently every time. Getting that wrong has different consequences than getting most other software wrong. Then a well-known community member got drained using Rabby on Pulsechain in that half-broken state. The simulator was one of the things that stopped working when Rabby left. If it had still been alive that day, the malicious transaction would have flagged before signing. They would have seen the hack coming and walked away. I asked the obvious question, why are they still using Rabby? Other wallets objectively work better on Pulsechain right now. Then I looked at my own Chrome extensions. Why am I still using Rabby too? Because it's the wallet I want to use. And that's the key thing. That's why I keep saying, we've got fantastic wallets like Internet Money Wallet, 195 countries, 40 chains. It's fantastic. But sometimes people want to have a different user experience and maybe a few different features or something like that. So, it is what it is. And it's good to have at least maybe 4 to 6 really top tier wallets on Pulsechain, and we're getting it. We've got Internet Money, Liberty Swap, Ramp Now is coming, and it looks like we've got this Cabby wallet as well. And then there's other wallets you can use, obviously, on Pulsechain too. But a lot of the third-party ones don't give proper support to Pulsechain, right? And so it is exciting to have fully supportive wallets that give you the US dollar amount and things, just basic things like that. So it's kind of cool. The wallet I wish worked the way it did before. Cappy is their fix. I am keeping everything that made Rabby good and rebuilding the parts Pulsechain needs. So there we go. That is coming. So, it's pretty good stuff, right? I'm not sure if we've got anything for Richard Hart. Should we quickly check him while we're doing it? And obviously he's been, kind of busy, talking about lots of different topics like AI and privacy, things like that. So, that's pretty much it on Richard. All right, that's an hour and 2 minutes on the live. So we finished a little bit earlier than normal, but it is a weekend, coming into the weekend now. It's Saturday here down under, obviously Friday evening or afternoon in the United States, in the Northern Hemisphere. As Frank said, we're not only do we have these top tier blue chip teams, we got top DeFi teams also launching, and that is Kairos and True Farm, the DeFi crew, True DeFi. They're doing a lot of great things there. Obviously, Cabal King's out in the mix as well. Lots of cool things happening. I may have an interview tomorrow with the team. We'll surprise you tomorrow, shall we? We'll surprise you tomorrow, but that could be happening tomorrow. So look forward to that. Hey, look, I got my Superman curl. Is that happening? It's kind of happening. It's a little bit off today, but it's coming there. Got the Superman curl there. Up and away, they say. Up and away. So look, everything's looking good, guys. We're finding a bottom on Pulse. In fact, I was going to do the Pulse chart, wasn't I? So let's not run away before that happens, because got to. If you say something, you got to do it, right? That's the sign of honor, sign of honor, and sign of character, right? Sign of character and honor. Honor is a sign of character. You do what you say, right? Say what you do. Say what you do. Do it. No, do what you say. Do what you say. All right. So enough jokes aside. Let's get into the chart and pull that up just one more time. One more time, baby. One more time. So we're up 5% on Pulse today. So it's worthy. It's worthy. And I got my Superman curls kind of looking kind of cool, but it's a little bit different than normal. So we got the Pulsechain chart here. So this is the monthly candles. Obviously, we had the SEC over us. That's a big orange box. And that happened not too long after we launched, right? 31st of July, 2023. And that lasted all the way through the 7th of July, 2023. And we had a nice relief rally on the back of that. Look at that. Nice. And then we had 9 months of brutal red, where people watch their portfolios go down, even if they're DCAing down. But now we got something different happening. We got some sort of sideways structure happening. And this is exciting. So let's go to the weekly chart. And you can see the weekly chart here. We've been going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks in a row to the side. Not down, but to the side here. Isn't that cool? So let's see what happens here. I mean, one could argue this is a little bit similar structure, a little bit similar. But I think this is a bit more pronounced. There's a little bit more pronounced here and a lot more green in it too. So 7,000 is the mark to hold. We're at 7,843 right now. We've had a high of 81.44 in the last week, and the RSI is skimming along the bottom here for quite a bit of time. So that's the other. It's not just the downward angulation here, but also the RSI being down for a very long time here. Now, is it going to take 8 weeks, or will it take actually more? Will it take another 12 weeks or something like that? Assuming we don't have the bear scenario going down, what catalyst do we have going down? What's it going to be? Well, apparently the fork contracts shouldn't be that, although there is some talk on the town at the moment about certain contracts being manipulated or so forth. But as the sacrifice set sold, are they all exhausted? And are we ready to go? We did have some extra selling and some hacks, get done. We saw obviously, $4 million go over the bridge over the last few weeks. But is it done? Is it done? And we're about to go up and join the rest of the market. Will rotation be relatively muted because Pulsechain is so cheap and people think it's a better bet? All those sort of things. Will we start getting some capital inflow? Will we start getting some market makers in the play as well? Lots of questions, and so far we're tracking nicely. That's all I can say. We're tracking nicely here, and maybe we'll get one of these big RSI runs, right? One of these things, these yellow lines here. Maybe that's going to happen here too. Certainly, the market's looking very bullish. We've got the Clarity Act, and we've got the stretch products starting to tick over next week. Going to be could raise a ton of money and buy lots of Bitcoin, lifting the whole market. And we've got the tokenization boom starting to really take off with Ondo and other things like that. So, question mark, but looking good, I think, overall so far. So we'll see how we get on in the next week ahead. Next week ahead. All right, so that's where we are right now on the old Pulse chain. You can obviously buy a ton of Pulse right now. When you did the sacrifice set, it was like 85K to get a billion Pulse. Now you can buy a billion Pulse for 7,800. So, it's almost a 10, 11x factor difference. So we'll watch out from here. All right, so that is Pulsechain. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Looks like Provex is on discount. So we'll keep a lookout for that too. And I'll catch you guys again tomorrow. We might have a special interview tomorrow. So we'll see where we go with that. And I'll catch you then. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. Take care, and bye for now.